Welcome back. We are making some fun summer treats. I am going to be making cookies and candy and all fun summer flavors. So we're going to get started on some lemon cookies that have a blueberry filling. We're going to start by making the cookie and we'll do the filling once they cool off. So I am adding in 1 cup of softened butter, 1.5 cups of sugar, and 1 egg, and then we will beat this all together. First recipe in, we already ran out of sugar. We're also going to be making a peach cobbler cookie and a root beer float cookie, at least that's the plan. And I want to make some candies that have like a fun tart filling in them. So it's gonna be a fun morning. Oh, all right, that doesn't fit there. Needs 1/2 cup still. Let's get this egg in. Mix them together. All right, let's see. We'll scrape down the sides. Now we need vanilla and lemon juice, and it calls for a lemon zest, and I don't have lemon zest, so I'm gonna actually use a little bit of lemon extract. And this is just like the cutest little thing. I bought a bunch of these little extracts, so many of them. Oh gosh, that's hard to do. Okay, I don't know, it's hard to know how much to use. We're gonna go with that. But so I could do the candies. You could probably add the rest of the ingredients in here. Now this is a rolling cookie recipe, but I think I'm just gonna use a scoop. So it said 2 1/4 cup of flour plus 1/2 cup of flour, because you roll it out with the flour. So I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna start with 2 1/2. If I need more, I'll add a little bit more, but that's all I'm gonna do for now. And then I'm going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of salt and then 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and that's our whole cookie. Now the filling will be separate and we'll do it a little later. Here's how this is coming together. It was pretty crumbly for a while and it's just starting to really pull itself together. So I definitely think that we probably didn't need quite as much flour as I did, but I think we'll still be just fine. Okay, that actually, it feels great. So we'll take this off of here. And I have a parchment paper lined sheet. I'm going to use a cookie scoop. This recipe does want us to roll it out and use cookie cutters, but I just find that to be a bit much. So we're not going to do it. And I'm using the smallest cookie scoop that I have because this is going to be 2 cookies. So it's a cookie, a filling, and a cookie. So the little cookie is what we're going for. I imagine I'm probably gonna have to squish them down. So let's get that out. I'm just gonna go for 1 of these little scoops. I wonder if there's enough lemony flavor in there. I know these are too close together. I'll spread them apart. I don't know how much they're going to spread though. Probably not much once I flatten them out. Oh, my arm is tired. I'm gonna give my arm a break and I'm just gonna start flattening them. And I'm just going to start flattening them out a little bit. I think I'm gonna go for like that, like a little melt away size. Or how thick did it say? Let's see. 1/3 of an inch. That's probably about right. Okay, these should be about 10 minutes, and I just have a few more to do. I just took these out of the oven. I think this was the perfect amount of time, and I don't think I could have squeezed them any closer together than I did. They're almost touching. Some of them are kind of touching, but I think that'll be fine. I'm going to let them cool off for just a minute, and then I will get them up here. And I did just put in the rest of them. So let's make up our peach cookies. Okay, this recipe, I'm cutting it in half because I think this is just gonna be too many cookies otherwise. And whoa, And this recipe calls for Crisco, and I don't have Crisco, so I am just using butter, and that'll be just fine. Actually, I feel like that'll make it taste even better, potentially, because isn't everything with butter better, especially if it's like a peach cobbler? Okay, so there's that. Now, hopefully I remember to cut everything down in half. We need a 1/4 cup of sugar, which I already measured out, and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Mix that up. Okay, let's add a splash of vanilla and an egg. That's why I decided to do this one in half, is because it has 1 egg and it's easier to use, or it called for 2, but I'm cutting the recipe in half, so just 1. And that's easier than cutting an egg in half. Now this recipe calls for peaches, and I have these diced peaches, so I'm gonna get them drained, and I'm debating on if I want to chop them even smaller. I think I do. Okay, this calls for 2½ to 2 3/4 cup of flour, so we're gonna remember to cut that in half. So 1, and then 1/4 to 1/2-ish. 1 and a little bit. That's what we're gonna go with. And then we just need 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then this time baking soda instead of baking powder. I'm gonna let that mix while I continue to get these chopped up, and then we can add in the last 2 ingredients, which is cinnamon chips and these peaches. I'm actually going to pat these dry a little bit because the recipe called for fresh peaches and these are not fresh, and I just don't want to add that much liquid into the batter. All right, that's probably good. Get these peaches in. Well, I'm interested to see how these all turn out. These are so different than what I've ever made before, so that'll be fun. And then we need about 5 ounces. So we're gonna go a little more than 1/2 of a cup. Okay. And we have 1½ minutes on the timer for the cookies that are in the oven. Very, very wet dough. I think I'm gonna add that extra little bit of flour that it said we could. Okay, I'd say that that dough is ready, but I need to get these onto the cooling rack so that we have something to use, and we have 22 seconds till these ones are done. We'll let them go for that extra 22 seconds. Beautiful. Whoa. Stop. Now I wonder, this tray's a little warm, so hopefully it'll be just fine to put the next cookies on. These look fantastic. Look at that. They look so good. And here is what this cookie dough is looking like. It's a little wet still, but I think we're gonna go with it. Okay, this says to make these 1/4 cup big. That's huge, so let's not do that. I'm gonna use my regular cookie scoop because this is a thin batter. Now, if you know that scoop is broken. So we're gonna see if it works for us, and hopefully it does. Because 1/4 cup of cookie dough just seems like a lot of cookie dough. And I don't know about you, like those big cookies, they look cool and all, but like I'd rather have 2 cookies than 1 cookie. And if they're smaller, you can have 2. I know that doesn't exactly work out the right way, but you know what? All right. I don't know how far to drop them apart. I feel like these are gonna spread a lot, so maybe I'll just do 3. All right, I'm gonna call that good. Get them in. I think we're gonna look at 10 minutes again, just see how they look. Okay, last up are the root beer float cookies. I'm excited about these. We still have all the candy to make, but I'm excited to see how all the cookies turn out. I figured if I do all the cookies first, I can turn my oven off. So there goes the softened butter. I am, of course, cutting this one in half as well. Well, we'll leave that out. This calls for 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of white sugar, and that's a total of 1 cup of sugar. So I need about a 1/2 cup of sugar, which I think I'm gonna be a little bit over, so that's okay. I'm just gonna add a little bit of that between the 2 of them. So I'm cutting it in half, I gotta remember that. There goes our sugar, and then 1 egg. And this recipe has pudding in it. And you know, I've never been a fan of cookies with pudding in it, so we'll have to see how this turns out. I was also wondering how we were gonna get this to be kind of like a root beer color, and it's the brown sugar. So that's a good idea. Since I cut this recipe in half, we're only going to use half of this box, which works out fine because I bought this box to make protein smoothies, so using half of it now will be totally fine. And I'm just gonna eyeball that. Probably half. Okay, 2 1/4 cup of flour cut in half is a heaping cup. Maybe a smidgen more than that. And then we need 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Yep, had to double check. And I think before I mix that, I'm going to add in the root beer flavoring. It calls for like a teaspoon, so I think I need like half of this jar. Well, okay, I've added some. I don't want to be like, I don't want it to be too strong. And I don't know how strong these are because I haven't ever tried them. Okay, mix that. It smells good. I feel like I need to just it definitely needs more flavor. All right, so I think that was just about half of that little drum. Perhaps it needs the entire thing. All right, well, that's all that we can do. So good thing I cut that in half. It's hard to know when you buy things if like they're gonna be super concentrated or not. I think that was like the perfect amount for this half batch. And then it says that we need about a cup of these. That might be too many. Okay, that is good. I just need somewhere to put them. So maybe we need to get these off. And we have about 4 minutes left on the timer for the second batch of these that's currently in the oven. So that'll be perfect timing. So now the question is, can I reuse this again? Yeah, I think it's gonna be fine. I was wondering, like I didn't want peach root beer, you know? I'm gonna do that really tiny scoop again because this is a thicker dough and I know that that other scoop can only do that like really thin dough. So rinsed out this because I didn't want it to taste like lemon. Oh goodness. Why is that not doing anything? This one's broken too. I don't want huge cookies. But I want them to all be the same size. Okay, well this is how we're gonna do this. 24 grams, so probably somewhere around 25 grams each. Stop. Okay, that worked. Roll these. All right, last batch of cookies going in the oven for 10 minutes. Okay, there was a small oversight. I thought that I had bought blueberries, but I ended up not buying them. I remember they were too expensive where I was gonna buy them, so I wanted to buy them somewhere else. Never ended up going. What I do have though is some blueberry juice left over from when I made some blueberry pie filling. So I'm gonna use that, and then a little bit of blueberry extract. I'm gonna add just a little in. So it called for half a cup of blueberries. Now that's messy. I don't know what a good amount of blueberry juice is, so I'm gonna start with that. It might be more of just like for color at this point. I'm going to add a few drops, that smells so good, of this blueberry oil. Might need to add more of that in. And then 3.5 cups of powdered sugar. Oh, it said sifted. Whoops. Too late now. I'm gonna start with that and see how it looks. Okay, that looks a little thick to me, but I do want to taste it. Oh, that's delicious. It did not need any more flavoring than that. What it does need, I think, though, is, well, I don't know, maybe a smidgen more liquid. So I'll use this. Heck, I feel like we could just put this inside of our candies. Delicious. Well, wait, do I need more flavoring? Now I'm wondering. We're probably good. Okay. We did just take out our cookies, the last of them. Okay, so let me just see, is this? I'm still thinking about the texture. I think we're good. Well, it's a little, I'm thinking it's a little thick still. Okay, so now let's do some of these upside down. No go on the scoop. So I guess we're just going to plop an amount. I'll go back and spread them out. I guess the question is, how many? I guess all of these here need to have icing, so. Whoops. Okay, I think we got the perfect amount. I'm going to just spread this evenly. And then we'll take another cookie, put it right on top. Cute. These are still huge. I could have even made them half this size, but I didn't have a scoop that size. Okay, I need to give these a try soon. Look at this. These look so delicious. They're also humongous. I need to get a tiny, tiny scoop. But these look so good. Now these are ready to go up on the cooling rack. And then here's how these peach ones are looking. That's why I'm holding this. Okay, I want to give all of these a try. What order should I go in? This was the little one. So I've got the two little ones This is my 1/2 here, and then the root beer down there. Let's go for the peach one first. That bite didn't have peaches in it. You can taste the cinnamon chip. Let's do root beer next. Whoa, that is interesting and delicious at the same time. And then this one. That's like a light, tart, summer flavor. So delicious. Okay, these are awesome. Never have I ever tried anything like these, and all three were a huge win. So let me kind of get everything reset. We need to work on the candy next. I am moving on to the candies, and I am going to make peach and I can't remember the other flavor, green apple. And I'm going to start by filling these chocolate molds. And I'm just going to tip these out then to get them filled. And we'll make our fondant. Fun fact, the candy centers are called fondant creams, but it's not the same as like fondant on a cake. So what I did here is I just melted a bunch of chocolate. It was whatever was left from the last time I did this, plus a little bit of chocolate chips. I actually melted it a little bit too hot, but that's okay because these are just for us. I'm gonna share the cookies and not share the candy. I've been recently making all of our candy at home, and the only candy left is there's still a little bit of peanut brittle left. I recently made all of those like healthy candy alternatives, and we ate through all of those. So little by little, okay. Oops. My goal here is to get all of it covered. Get all the bubbles out. Okay. My goal was to get as much of that chocolate out of there as possible because I don't want them to be too full. So then let's see if I can just wipe the edges, get this here. Do it again a couple more times. I got 3 filled up, so I'm gonna get these in the fridge. And then let's make the filling. So we're gonna do equal parts of butter and corn syrup. I have about 2.5 tablespoons here. And that's just what was left from all the cookies. So if I need more, we'll make more, and I'll have to get some out of the freezer. I'm gonna do approximately 2.5 tablespoons. It doesn't need to be exact. Okay. And then probably cup or 2 of powdered sugar. Probably not 2, probably like a little over a cup. We're gonna just start with that. And then let's add our flavoring in. I'm going to do peach first, and I don't know how much I'm gonna need. So I'm gonna do like that much first. That's just a few squeezes, and we'll mix it up. I might want to add some citric acid, we'll see. This always looks a little bit crumbly at first, but if I remember from last time, if we just let it go, it will come together. There it goes. I'm also going to add in a drop of yellow. Okay, yep, just as I suspected, it just needed a little bit of time. Just gonna get all of the extra powdered sugar off of the sides. All right, so the question is gonna be, do we want citric acid, and also, is the flavor good? And do we need any more powdered sugar? I guess we have a lot of questions, so let's see. It is a very mild flavor, so I'm going to add in a decent amount more of that. And I think I am going to do just the smallest pinch of citric acid just to give it a little bit of a like tang. And I think with all that extra liquid, I'm probably going to need a smidgen more powdered sugar. Scrape the edges again. Okay, let's give that a taste. Good, but still going. All right, and that's exactly half of that drum. All right, let's see. New finger. Still think it's a little mild. I'm debating though, do I really want to put the entire thing in there? The chocolate's gonna mellow it out, so yeah, I think we're gonna go for it, the whole thing. A little powdered sugar to compensate. Pinch more citric acid just for good flavor. Oops. Now I just need to get these into the molds. Okay, I just pulled these out of the freezer. I ended up sticking them in the freezer. I had them in the fridge and then realized that probably wasn't the best place for them. So let's get all of this off. So now I just need to figure out what's the best way to get these in there. I think 2 knives is gonna be the way. I did think about making a thicker cream and covering them instead of doing it this way, but I thought I would try this. So far, posing to be a little bit of a challenge. I might just use my finger. Don't worry, it's clean. But these are just for us in the house anyways. I need to just make sure to leave enough room at the top for the chocolate. You know, I think the filling that I have might fill all 3 of these, so we might only be doing 1 flavor today. So I'm gonna painstakingly get all of these filled, and then I'll see you back when it's time to taste them. Okay, I just pulled these out of the freezer. I'm going to get them covered. Let's see. Okay, back into the freezer these go. Then I had this little tiny bit that was extra. Let's see if I can pull it off of there. I'm wanting to get a little bit of chocolate on each piece. These won't be covered all the way because I don't have enough chocolate to do that, and I don't really want to melt more, but that'll be okay. I guess that's what we call form over function. This is going to work out just fine for those little extra pieces. I'm working on getting these all out, and in the past I haven't let them freeze long enough and they all crumbled, but these are coming out so well. These look beautiful. They have a lot less holes in them than I have gotten in the past, which means I'm getting better at this. These made a ton. Now what would be fun is to do like assorted chocolates. That would take so long though. I'd have to think, because like these look so cute like this. But then I'd also need to do like maybe colored buttercream for the top, not buttercream. Have to be able to differentiate them from each other. Cocoa butter, that's what I was thinking. Cocoa butter is expensive, and I can't tell which cocoa butter is the cocoa butter you're supposed to use for chocolates because everything says it's for lotions, and is it the same thing? Okay, you know what time it is? It is cross-section time. Let's cut into one of these. I need like something to cut on. Do a little tiny piece of a paper towel. But before we do, let's take a quick peek. Here are all of these guys. Oh, look how cute. Some cookies. We've got our root beer cookies, our lemon blueberry, and our peach. Oh my goodness, summertime is here. Okay, so I've only tried the filling on its own. I haven't tried it all together, and I haven't tried it since we did the last little bit of citric acid in the end. My husband tried it and said it's very good. So here it goes. I mean, I could have done even more citric acid, but that's delicious. I think it was a good thing to keep the cream on the creamier side rather than on like the thick side. I think that was a good call because these are so delicious. Alrighty, we did it. So many delicious summer treats. If you make any of these, let me know down below, or if you have other, goodness, my mouth is all watering. If you have other recipes that you love for summer, let me know all about them as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here and you haven't yet, please subscribe. I'd love to see you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.